My name is Savannah Brooks, and I'm 27 years old. Looking back now, I realize the relationship didn't end the day my boyfriend moved in with another woman. It ended long before that. It ended in hundreds of tiny moments I ignored because I loved him. Moments when I paid another bill, covered another expense, made another excuse, and convinced myself that sacrifice was what love looked like. For 2.5 years, I dated Tyler Morgan. 25. On paper, we looked like a modern success story. I worked a stable corporate job. Tyler was building his social media brand, chasing the dream of becoming a full-time lifestyle influencer. I believed in him, maybe more than he believed in himself. We never lived together. He had his apartment. I had mine. But somewhere along the way, our relationship stopped feeling like a partnership and started feeling like a sponsorship. At first it was small. A missed phone payment, a short-term cash transfer, a credit card emergency. Then it became routine. I added Tyler as an authorized user on 2 credit cards under my name. I covered his phone bill, his car insurance, his gym membership, his streaming subscriptions, sometimes rent assistance when brand deals didn't arrive on time. When I finally added everything together, I was spending almost $1,800 every month helping him stay afloat. And somehow, Tyler still talked like he was a self-made entrepreneur. I wanted to believe it would pay off eventually, that one day he'd succeed and we'd laugh about the difficult years. Instead, another person slowly entered the center of our relationship. Her name was Chloe Bennett, 26, Tyler's best friend from college. The woman who always seemed to appear whenever Tyler had a problem. The woman who filled his comments with heart emojis. The woman who somehow texted him good morning before I ever got the chance. Every time I brought up my concerns, Tyler gave me the same answer. You're overthinking it. Savannah, Chloe's just a friend. Why are you always suspicious? I wanted to trust him, so I did. 3 weeks ago, I was sitting at my desk finishing a quarterly report when my phone vibrated. I smiled automatically. I thought it was Tyler. Maybe a sweet message. Maybe a lunch invitation. Instead, I received a text that changed everything. Hey, love. Ethan's roommate moved out unexpectedly. He's offering me the spare room for almost nothing. I really need this. I think I need space to focus on myself and my brand without distractions. Please don't contact me for a month. I'm trying to figure some things out. We're still together. Obviously, I just need room to breathe. Love you. I stared at the screen, then read it again and again. A month, no contact, moving in with another woman. But somehow we were still a couple. I felt something strange happen inside me. Not anger, not heartbreak. Something colder, something quieter. For years, every conflict had ended with me apologizing, compromising, giving more. But this time, I simply saw the situation for what it was. He was moving into another woman's apartment, asking for distance, while expecting me to continue paying for his life. I looked around my office, the sounds of keyboards clicking, phones ringing, coworkers chatting. Everything felt strangely distant. 5 minutes passed. Then I typed 2 words. Understood. Nothing more. No questions. No begging. No argument. I hit send. Then I got to work. Real work. I opened my banking app first. The first credit card. Removed authorized user. Confirmed. The second card. Removed. Confirmed. Together. The cards carried $12,000 in available credit. Most of it already used. Mostly by Tyler. Next came the phone plan. Removed. Car insurance. Removed. Gym membership. Cancelled. Music subscriptions. Gone. Streaming accounts. Passwords changed. Shopping accounts he'd used for business expenses. Deleted. One after another. Methodically, like cutting ropes that had been wrapped around me for years. The process took nearly an hour. When I finished, I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. My hands were shaking. Not because I regretted it, because I couldn't believe how much of my life I'd been carrying for someone else. For a moment, I almost called him, almost asked him if this was really what he wanted. Then I remembered his message. Please don't contact me for a month. I smiled sadly. Your wish is my command. I blocked his number. Then I blocked Chloe's too. That night, my apartment felt unusually quiet. No requests. No emergencies. No sudden Venmo notifications. No last-minute financial crises. Just silence. For the first time in years, I realized how exhausting my relationship had become. I should have felt devastated. Instead, I felt something far more dangerous. Relief. And deep down, a small voice whispered a question I wasn't ready to answer. How long would Tyler last when he finally had to pay for his own life? The answer turned out to be 3 days. 3. Not a week. Not even long enough to make it through a full billing cycle. 3 days after Tyler moved into Chloe Bennett's apartment and requested a month of no contact. My phone started lighting up with calls from numbers I didn't recognize. The first one came during lunch. I ignored it. Then another, and another. By the time I got home that evening, I had 7 missed calls. A voicemail notification appeared. Curious. I listened. Savannah. Oh my God. What did you do? It was Tyler's friend. Megan. Her voice sounded panicked. Tyler's card stopped working at a store. He's freaking out. Call him. Please. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because of the sheer audacity. 3 days. 3 days without my money. And suddenly, the world was ending. The second voicemail arrived 20 minutes later. This time, it was Tyler's mother. Patricia. Hi. Savannah. It's Patricia. Tyler says there's some problem with his cards. He thinks there might be a banking error. Could you call him? He's very upset. A banking error. Right. The third voicemail was the most interesting. Tyler, using Chloe's phone. What the hell? Savannah. His voice echoed through my apartment. My card got declined in front of everyone. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that was? You can't just do this. This is financial abuse. I nearly dropped my phone. Financial abuse. The man who voluntarily moved into another woman's apartment while expecting his girlfriend to continue funding his lifestyle was accusing me of abuse. I deleted the voicemail. Then I went back to eating dinner. The next morning, another voicemail appeared, and this one was different. Tyler was crying. Actually crying. Please call me. His voice cracked. My insurance got canceled. I got pulled over. The ticket is $450. Chloe saw my card get declined at the grocery store. I had to pretend I grabbed the wrong card. Please turn everything back on. I'll pay you back. I swear. I sat quietly after listening. For years, I'd heard promises. I'll pay you back. It's temporary. My next sponsorship deal is coming. Everything will change soon. But nothing ever changed, except the amount I was spending. I blocked the new number. Then I went to work. 2 weeks later, the real show began. Saturday afternoon. A knock sounded at my apartment door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, I froze. Tyler stood there, and beside him was Chloe. For a moment, nobody spoke. Tyler looked completely different. The polished influencer image was gone. His expensive-looking outfits had been replaced by wrinkled sweatpants, and a hoodie. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. His hair looked unwashed. He looked exhausted. Chloe looked uncomfortable, like someone who had accidentally walked into a disaster and couldn't find the exit. Savannah, Tyler said, We need to talk. I folded my arms. You asked for a month of no contact. His jaw tightened. You know that's not what this is. No, no. He pointed at me. You ruined my life. I almost laughed. Interesting. You canceled everything. Yes. My credit is destroyed. They were my cards. You knew I depended on them. I stared at him. That's exactly the problem. Before Tyler could respond, Chloe stepped forward. Look. Savannah. Her voice was cautious. I think what you did was kind of extreme. I turned toward her. Extreme. She shifted awkwardly. Tyler was relying on those cards. I looked directly into her eyes. And why was he relying on them? Silence. Tyler jumped in quickly. Because we're partners? I nodded. Really? Yes. Partners. Absolutely. I opened my phone, pulled up one of my banking statements, and handed it to Chloe. She glanced down, then frowned, then looked again. The color slowly drained from her face. Month after month, thousands of dollars. Clothing stores, restaurants, beauty brands, technology purchases, travel expenses, subscription services, everything. Paid by me. This can't be right. Chloe whispered, It's right. Tyler's expression darkened. Give me that. Too late. Chloe kept scrolling. Wait. Her eyes widened. You weren't paying these. Tyler said nothing. You told me your sponsorships covered everything. Still nothing. I could practically see the gears turning inside her head. Every story, every excuse, every claim Tyler had made, all falling apart. Finally, she looked at him. You said Savannah was controlling. Tyler swallowed. She is. I laughed. A sharp, bitter laugh. Controlling. Tyler. You moved in with another woman. I pointed at Chloe. Yeah. You requested a month of no contact. Then expected me to keep paying your bills. Does that sound like control? Chloe stared at him. Tyler stared at the ground. The silence became painful. Then Tyler exploded. You don't understand. I raised an eyebrow. Then explain. My followers are dropping. My content schedule is ruined. I can't maintain my brand. I blinked. That was his concern. Not our relationship. Not trust. Not loyalty. His brand. My car registration expired. I can't afford groceries. I can't even book a stylist. His voice rose with every sentence, as though these were genuine tragedies. I glanced at Chloe. She looked horrified. And then something slipped out that Tyler clearly didn't want revealed. I've been helping you already. Chloe said. His head snapped toward her. Clue. No. She crossed her arms. I paid your half of the rent. I've been buying groceries. I even covered your internet bill. That's enough. Tyler's face turned bright red. The pieces finally clicked into place. He hadn't moved in with Chloe because he needed space. He moved in because he thought he'd found another person, willing to carry him. Meanwhile, he expected me to remain his financial safety net. 2 women, 1 lifestyle, 0 accountability. Wow. I said quietly. What? You really thought this would work? His eyes flashed. I'll take you to court. I laughed again. For real this time. For what? Financial manipulation. I held up my phone. I have 2 years of statements. Tens of thousands of dollars. You spent my money while publicly pretending to be self-made. Please, go find a lawyer. The threat died immediately. Because he knew, and I knew, no lawyer would touch that case. Tyler suddenly looked desperate, almost frightened, as though he could feel the walls closing around him. Please. Savannah. There it was. The voice I hadn't heard before. Not anger. Not arrogance. Fear. I just need help getting back on my feet. I stared at him. For years, I would have caved. For years, I would have rescued him. But something inside me had changed. You wanted space? I stepped backward. I'm giving it to you. Then, I started closing the door. Tyler panicked. You'll regret this. No. I'll tell everyone what you did. Go ahead. I'll expose you online. Perfect. I smiled. Make sure you mention the part where you moved in with another woman while expecting your girlfriend to fund your lifestyle. The door closed, and for the first time, I heard Chloe's voice through the hallway, angry, demanding answers. The argument continued even after the elevator doors opened. I couldn't hear every word, but I heard enough. The alliance between Tyler and Chloe was already cracking, and somehow, I knew the worst was still coming. The fallout arrived faster than even I expected. Less than 24 hours after Tyler and Chloe showed up at my apartment, I received a direct message from Chloe. I almost ignored it. Almost. But curiosity won. The message was short. Can we talk? Nothing else. No accusation. No defense of Tyler. Just 4 words. I stared at it for a minute before replying. About what? Her answer came immediately. Everything he lied about. I wasn't surprised. Part of me had seen that moment coming. The instant Chloe looked at those credit card statements. The illusion had shattered. Now she was living with the consequences. We spoke on the phone that evening. The exhaustion in her voice was impossible to miss. You weren't exaggerating, she said. I know. No. Savannah. I mean none of it. She let out a shaky laugh. I thought Tyler was struggling temporarily. What do you mean? I mean, he's completely broke. Silence filled the line. Then she continued. I've paid for groceries every week. I paid his part of the utilities. I covered internet. He keeps saying sponsorship money is coming. I closed my eyes. I'd heard those same promises for years. How much does he actually make? Chloe asked. Last time I checked, maybe $200 a month. The silence that followed lasted several seconds. You're kidding. I wish I was. Oh my God. That was when I realized Chloe wasn't the villain I'd imagined. She had been manipulated too. Not romantically, financially, emotionally, just in a different way. The next person to contact me was Tyler's mother, Patricia. Unlike the previous calls, this one sounded very different. She wasn't confused anymore. She was furious. Savannah? Hi. Patricia. I owe you an apology. That caught me off guard. What for? For believing Tyler. Her voice trembled. He told us he was supporting himself. I laughed softly. He wasn't. I know that now. Then came the question that changed everything. How much? I hesitated, then told her. Over $31,000. Silence. Complete silence. When Patricia finally spoke, her voice sounded weak. 31,000, approximately. Oh my God. I could practically hear her sitting down. He told us he was successful. He told everyone that the truth hurt. Not because of the money, because of the years of deception. Patricia sounded heartbroken. My husband and I taught him better than this. I didn't know what to say. Sometimes parents end up mourning the person they thought their child would become. And that's exactly how she sounded. 3 days later, Tyler broke the no-contact agreement he had created. 1 month wasn't even close to finished. A text arrived from another unknown number. Hey, blocked. 5 minutes later, another number. Can we talk? Blocked. Then another, I miss you. Blocked. By the end of the evening, I'd blocked 6 new numbers. The next morning, I received a message that actually made me laugh. I've done a lot of reflecting. Apparently, reflection started the moment someone else refused to pay his bills. A week later, things escalated. I was leaving a meeting when my receptionist called. Zavana. Yeah, there's someone here, asking for you. The expression on her face immediately told me who it was. My stomach sank. I walked toward the lobby, and there he was. Tyler, standing in the middle of the reception area. The second he saw me, he rushed forward. Zavana. Several employees looked up. Wonderful. Public humiliation. Exactly what I needed on a Tuesday. What are you doing here? We need to talk. No. Please. No. He lowered his voice. I made a mistake. The words sounded rehearsed, like he'd practiced them. What kind of mistake? His eyes darted away. I shouldn't have left. Interesting. Not, I shouldn't have used you. Not, I shouldn't have lied. Not, I'm sorry. Just, I shouldn't have left. Because in Tyler's mind, the problem wasn't his behavior. The problem was losing access to the benefits. I took a step backward. This conversation is over. His voice rose. No. Listen. Security appeared almost instantly. One advantage of working in a corporate office. The guards approached calmly. Sir, we're going to ask you to leave. Tyler's face reddened. Savannah. Tell them. No. That single word seemed to break something inside him. As security escorted him away, he shouted loud enough for the entire lobby to hear. You abandoned me. Every head turned. Someone actually dropped a folder. I stood there motionless. Tyler kept yelling. I have nowhere to go. I lost everything. The guards pushed him through the front doors. The lobby fell silent. Then, my manager walked over. You okay? I nodded. Need a restraining order. Maybe. He wasn't joking. Neither was I. When I got home that evening, my phone showed 63 missed calls. 63. Most came from random numbers. Several included voicemail messages. Each one became more unstable than the last. 1 minute Tyler was crying. The next he was furious. Then begging. Then insulting me. Then begging again. The emotional whiplash would have been impressive if it wasn't so pathetic. But the biggest development came from Chloe. She finally reached her limit. According to her messages, Tyler had stopped contributing entirely. New rent, no groceries, no utilities, nothing. Instead, he spent his days trying to rebuild his online following. Eventually, she gave him an ultimatum. Get a job, or get out. He chose neither. So Chloe made the decision for him. She handed him a written notice. Leave. By the end of the week, the response was exactly what you'd expect. Tyler blamed me. Again, everything was my fault. His finances, his living situation, his career, his future. Never his choices. Always someone else's actions. Then came the discovery that truly shocked me. The bank contacted me regarding unusual activity. After reviewing statements, investigators noticed something strange. One card had repeatedly been used to make payments toward another card. Then the second card was used to pay the first, back and forth, creating the illusion of legitimate payments, artificially keeping accounts active. I immediately provided records. The bank launched a deeper review. Whether it would lead to legal consequences wasn't clear, but it revealed something important. Tyler's financial situation had been worse than I'd ever realized. He hadn't simply been irresponsible. He'd been desperately trying to keep a collapsing house of cards standing, literally. Meanwhile, his influencer career was unraveling. His content became increasingly desperate. Cheap, motivational posts, recycled videos, excuses, promises. People noticed. Followers disappeared. Engagement collapsed. Comments turned brutal. The final blow came one Friday afternoon. Chloe sent me a message. He's gone. I called her. What happened? A long pause, then laughter. Not happy laughter. Exhausted laughter. His mother showed up with a moving truck. I blinked. What? Patricia came herself. Apparently, Tyler had refused to leave, refused to pack, refused to accept reality. So, Patricia arrived, loaded his belongings, and brought him home, according to Chloe. The entire scene became chaotic. Tyler screamed, argued, accused everyone of betrayal, even claimed Chloe had manipulated him. But nobody listened anymore, because by then, every excuse sounded exactly the same. Everyone else was responsible. Everyone else was wrong. Everyone else had failed him. Never Tyler. Never the man in the mirror. As I sat on my couch listening to Chloe describe the scene, I felt something unexpected. Not satisfaction, not revenge, just closure. For the first time in years, Tyler's problems were no longer mine, and somewhere deep down, I knew his biggest crisis was still ahead, because soon, for the first time in his adult life, he'd have to learn how to survive without someone rescuing him. 2 months after Tyler moved into Chloe's apartment, the entire situation finally settled into something that resembled reality. Not the reality Tyler wanted, the real one, the version where actions have consequences, the version where someone else doesn't step in every time life becomes uncomfortable, the version he had spent years avoiding. I learned most of what happened through Patricia. Oddly enough, she and I stayed in occasional contact, not because we were particularly close, but because she'd become one of the few people willing to acknowledge the truth. One afternoon, she sent me a photo. I opened it while sitting at my kitchen table. The image showed Tyler standing behind the reception desk of a medical clinic, wearing scrubs, looking utterly miserable. His smile looked forced, his shoulders slumped. The confidence he'd displayed online for years had vanished. Patricia followed the picture with a simple message. First week completed. I stared at the photo for a moment, then set my phone down. I felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. No triumph. Just distance. The emotional wound had finally healed. Tyler was working a regular full-time job now. 40 hours a week. A fixed schedule. A fixed paycheck. The exact kind of life he'd spent years insisting he was too ambitious to live. Apparently, reality had different plans. His social media accounts told a similar story. Most of his followers had disappeared. The influencer persona he'd spent years building collapsed almost overnight. Without expensive clothes, without constant shopping, without restaurant photos and curated content, there wasn't much left to sell. His public account eventually went private, then mostly inactive. The internet moved on, as it always does. Meanwhile, Chloe posted something that made me laugh harder than I had in months. She listed her spare room online. The advertisement included several requirements: proof of income, stable employment, references, and one final line: no influencers. The comments were ruthless. People immediately connected it to Tyler. Within hours, the listing became a running joke. To her credit, Chloe handled it with humor. At least one person had learned something from the experience. As for me, my life looked completely different. The $1,800 that had once disappeared every month into Tyler's endless emergencies now remained in my account. For the first time in years, I could actually focus on my own future. I attacked my credit card balances aggressively, month after month. The numbers dropped. My credit score climbed, 40 points higher than before. My savings account started growing again. The constant anxiety that had quietly lived inside me for years slowly disappeared. And then, something unexpected happened. I met someone. His name was Ethan Carter, 30 years old, mechanical engineer. I met him at my climbing gym. The first thing I noticed about Ethan was how normal he seemed. No dramatic stories, no endless excuses, no grand promises about future success, just consistency. He showed up when he said he would, paid for his own things, treated people with respect. The basics, things I had somehow forgotten, were valuable. Our first date felt almost surreal. When the check arrived, Ethan smiled. I've got mine. Simple. No hesitation. No expectation. No performance. I paid for my meal. He paid for his. And somehow that tiny moment felt more romantic than all the extravagant promises Tyler had ever made. A few months into dating, I showed Ethan the old credit card statements. We sat together at my dining room table, reviewing page after page. The numbers were almost unbelievable. $400 on cosmetics, $300 for a ring light, $200 at a trendy restaurant labeled as a business meeting, subscription services, food delivery, random shopping sprees, thousands upon thousands of dollars. Ethan finally leaned back. Can I be honest? Always. You weren't his girlfriend. I laughed. Here it comes. You were his investor. That hit harder than I expected, because it was true, painfully true. I hadn't been building a relationship. I'd been funding a lifestyle. And the moment the funding stopped, the relationship collapsed. A few weeks later, Tyler tried one final time. New phone number, new message, a very long message. It talked about growth, personal reflection, lessons learned, mistakes made, spiritual healing. And then came my favorite line. I forgive you for overreacting. I actually laughed out loud. Ethan looked up from the couch. What happened? I handed him my phone. He read the message, then stared at me. He's forgiving you. Apparently. For what? Existing. I guess. Ethan burst out laughing. I typed a response. Just one. Who's this? The reply arrived instantly. Savannah. Stop. You know it's me. I smiled, then typed again. Sorry. I don't save unknown numbers. A pause. Then, it's Tyler. That was all the confirmation I needed. My final response took less than 10 seconds. Please don't contact me again. He answered immediately. I'm trying to apologize. I looked at the screen, thought about the years, the money, the lies, the entitlement, the endless excuses. Then I wrote the truth. No. You're trying to find another sponsor. I'm not that person anymore. Goodbye. Block. Done. Forever. A few mutual friends occasionally reached out afterward. Some believed Tyler's version of events. Others didn't. I stopped arguing. Stopped defending myself. People who wanted the truth already knew it. The rest weren't worth convincing. Quality over quantity. One afternoon, Patricia sent me something that nearly made me choke on my coffee. A screenshot. Tyler had launched a new social media account. The account focused on financial responsibility, budgeting, money management, avoiding toxic financial relationships. I stared at the screen in disbelief. The account had 12 followers. Most appeared to be bots. The top comment came from one of Patricia's friends. Focus on your job. Sweetheart. I laughed so hard, tears formed in my eyes. The irony was almost too perfect. Looking back now, the most expensive lesson wasn't the $31,000. It was the years I spent confusing love with sacrifice, believing support meant unlimited access, thinking loyalty required endless patience. Love isn't supposed to feel like carrying someone uphill while they complain you're walking too slowly. Real relationships require accountability, respect, reciprocity. The moment someone treats your kindness like an entitlement, the relationship is already in danger. Tyler wanted space to figure himself out. In a strange way, he got exactly what he wanted. He figured out what life looked like when someone else stopped paying for it. And I figured out something too. The strongest thing I ever did wasn't supporting him. It was finally stopping. Last month, Ethan and I booked a vacation together. When the payment screen appeared, we each paid our share. No arguments, no expectations, no hidden resentment. Just two adults building a future side by side. And as I clicked confirm, I realized something that would have terrified the old version of me. I wasn't responsible for saving anyone anymore, and for the first time in years, I was completely free.